Now, for generations, the Loita Maasai relied on indigenous knowledge to predict weather patterns, move livestock, and sustain their pastoral way of life. But today, changing climate conditions, prolonged drought, and shrinking grazing land are forcing many families to abandon traditions that have defined them for centuries. In the sacred Loita forest of Narok South community is now struggling to adapt as nature becomes increasingly unpredictable. Aaron Murray brings us the story of people caught between culture, climate change, and survival.
For generations, the Loita Maasai could read the sky like a book. The flowering of trees, the direction of the wind, the movement of birds, all spoke of rain. And when the elders spoke, the community listened. Life here depended on livestock. Cattle meant food, wealth, and identity.
Maasai cannot stay without livestock. They cannot be comfortable. Even if they aid land only, they can't. They must balance so that they can have both livestock and farming, because the livestock are everything. Yeah. It's celebration when you have ceremonies. You must have meat, you must have milk, and the children can't stay without.
Families moved with the seasons, following pasture and water across communal land. The forest protected them from drought, and tradition protected the forest. But slowly, the signs began to fail. The rains delayed and season changed. The sky stopped speaking the language the elders understood. Now, many families are abandoning pure pastoralism. Communal grazing land is slowly fading with the recent demarcation move.
They had to change tact since many of their animals had died. And you know that the Maasai community depends on livestock, and they don't have any other way of earning a living apart from increasing the number of their livestock.
Young people who once measured wealth in cattle are now turning to farming, charcoal burning, and casual jobs to survive. Change has hit the Maasai community. For over the years, they have been relying on livestock keeping, but with the change of the climate, they're now shifting to agriculture. However, in the attempt of agriculture, there is a striking fear. A community once guided entirely by nature now depends increasingly on modern focused and changing livelihoods.
People, they have initial piece of land where they have where they are doing agriculture. When they find it not productive, they will opt to leave this already degraded land and probably continue to at least to do a new piece of land that is hoping they will get more production than the earlier piece.
We have housing land.
However, bodies like WWF and Haki Jamii are coming and offering education to the indigenous communities and journalists across the region on climate reporting.
So what we do is to amplify voices of indigenous communities, indigenous population and local communities. So we have been working with this indigenous population for some time, but now we have to ensure that their voices are amplified, and the best way to do this is to engage the media.
There is a lot of information that we do not really share with our audience, especially on indigenous knowledge. And there is a major role that even the minority in the community play. This involves women, this involves people with a disability, and I think it's high time that we close these gaps and bring everyone together.
I'm working towards climate change and disability inclusion.
We as the Loita community, we are attached to our land and to our resources very positively. In spiritual matters, we attach ourselves to the forest of the Loita child. We also attach ourselves to our land, to our cattle, because without land, there will be no Maasai.
The county government is also joining with pushing policies that will help in the forest conservation.
We also normally have a program for tree planting. At least every every first Friday of every month, we have a program called Chiefs Climate Day that chiefs in all the locations plant trees in their respective areas of jurisdiction.
We are trying to integrate the knowledge of the locals with scientific, so that at least you have an hybrid information. We don't push projects to the communities. It is actually the community to do proposal to us. We do also public participation through PCRA. PCRA is actually is a comprehensive report from the communities.
For elders, the transformation is painful. Sacred forests are shrinking and indigenous wealth and knowledge is becoming unreliable.
The one we are using now, it's not working. Because when we try to apply what we used to apply there before, it is not giving us the best.
Climate change has forced Loita forest population into a difficult balance between survival and preservation. A community once guided entirely by nature now depends increasingly on modern-focused and changing livelihoods because they know when the forest disappears, part of their identity disappears with it. Reporting from Loita in Narok South, for KBC Channel 1, I'm Aaron Marie.